Today we are interviewing Brad Mccallum. He is taking YouTube, not to mention the real estate world by storm, and he is the true definition of what it means to be a creator in today's marketplace. So many of us struggle with branding, where to start. It feels like a hill that we just can't climb. He makes it very tactile and very easy for you to approach, and his story is absolutely incredible. I took a pile of notes in it. Brad is a close friend now, and I consider him part of our tribe. So I just had to introduce you to him. Stay tuned. This is going to be one of the best episodes to date. Welcome to the Prime People Podcast, where we cover all things that got us where we are today, our team building strategies, the marketing and sales tips that we've learned through thousands of transactions, productivity tips, ways to really just hold yourself accountable to accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and all things content creation, personal development, and not to mention we have some of the best guests on the planet. Curious about the podcasting studio. So how did you set it up? Like, where you located? What were the steps that took you to get to where you're at now?
With podcasting or with the home studio?
Oh, sorry, the home studio. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So a little bit of both. Like I of South Carolina named Bob Tompkins.
Okay.
He's another agent. He does some video stuff as well. Mainly known for his like cowboy music video parodies. Big personality guy, cool guy. And but for my home studio here, what I always wanted set up was a place that I could emulate the quality I get in my videos and my shoots and my listings.
Sure.
I didn't want there to be any sort of break in the continuity. Like basically, if I'm putting myself out there in front of a camera on social media, whatever it is, unless it's something like IG stories,
Yeah.
I want my quality to be just extra AF all the way through. That's kind of my goal. So every time someone looks and experiences something to do with my brand, it's just like, man, that's tight, that's clean, that's slick, that's something, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. So
you don't have this. I don't got this. I don't got that 5 o'clock shadow as deep as you. So I got to work with what I got.
I like it, and I modify mine back and forth. I got your video rolling up there right now, and I will say, like, the first thing that drew me to you when I saw the videos and what you're putting out was the quality. So I think you probably saw what other people were doing in the industry. You wanted to differentiate yourself. Like, where did you find inspiration for that, right? Like, when you were like, how did you find the editor, and what were those conversations like to get it to the point that you're at now?
Okay, so it sounds like this is the one thing that's kind of unique about what I do is I've been shooting and editing my own videos from the start. So I've always had a bit of an interest in videography. Back in the day, a decade ago, when everyone was a wedding photographer, my wife was a wedding photographer, and I would go out on second shoots, and I was running a renovation design company at the time. And I think my son was about 8 months old, and we figured out that her DSLR camera, if we hit this red record button on the back, would actually record like 1080p HD video with her like beautiful camera lenses. And the first time I saw that, I was just kind of blown away. So we got some shots of my son, and then I had a few renovations that I had wrapped up, and I thought, oh, I want some way to kind of showcase these. So I bought like a little fluid head for the top of my tripod, and I bought a couple of pieces that would just allow me to get smooth or kind of simple video. I did it for about 6 or 8 months, and then gave up on it for about 7 or 8 years because it worked. Even back then, my videos would play on Vimeo. I could email the links to clients, and I would get more and more renovation work. I just, my heart wasn't in renovations and design. I knew I wanted to make a change in about 2015, 2016, when I discovered sort of I had a bit of a tumor on my neck, or on my cheek rather, and it actually ended up being the same kind of tumor that killed Adam MC of the Beastie Boys. So it was kind of a different. It was a moment for me where I thought, man, I'm almost 40. What am I doing with my life? Time to make a change. Made a change, got my real estate license, and quickly saw that I didn't have anything to differentiate myself. So I started leaning back on this idea of like, well, video worked for me in my past business. I noticed that I was spending my time already watching videographers like from out east, like guys like Peter McKinnon and Maddie Hikoya and what they're doing on YouTube. I was watching them from kind of the get-go, and I thought, why don't I do something like this? I need something that separates myself.
Yeah, and I think we're talking the same language, right? Like, I've got Peter McKinnon's coin, the shot that he did, and bam, the bucket shot. We're all
Yeah.
inspired by a lot of the same people. You can tell because you gravitate towards people that are looking to differentiate themselves and do higher quality work. But we're going into an age, it seems, that you're more than a real estate agent, right? Like I didn't even know that story that you just shared. So I appreciate you giving some context to it, because I think people think you just snap your fingers and you're this awesome agent and you're doing all these things. But, you know, similar to you, I've always had an interest in photography, videography, try to get people around me that are better than me to help me with it, you know, and execute the ideas that I'm inspired by other people. But guaranteed, like this video that's playing there, we've already got ideas on new things you want to do and new ways you want to execute and changing it. Because if the formula works, it's great. But if you just keep doing the same formula, even use Peter as an example, it gets stagnant and you lose that growth quality that your audience wants, right? And do you find that that's always a constant in your head, that you're trying to mix it up and find new ways of doing things?
Yeah, I would say so. It comes down to it for me is, you know, work can fulfill one need, right? Like I can get money from my work, take care of my family, but that doesn't fill my cup the same way doing something that has some meaning behind it, some creative meaning to me behind it. So for example, we've done some listing videos where we tell the owner's story, and it's a really beautiful or compelling story, and it's worthy of sharing. We've done some videos where, you know, the seller didn't want to pay for staging. It was an empty home. And I thought, listen, this is a cool place. How are we going to capture people's interest? So we hired a ballerina and had her dance through the home and turned it into like a quasi music video. We've done all sorts of things. In fact, the video that was playing in the background before there, that one, we've got a jazz singer, a local jazz singer right now recording and sending us over a track. We already filmed her through that house. And we're creating this sort of walking, talking Tim Smith-esque, who's like a broker out of California who does some really cool video content as well. Something like him, but our own unique spin on it, because I want to keep doing something that's fresh for my market. Does it always sell the home the way a typical standard, you know, down the fairway video? Probably not. It probably doesn't always make the difference, but one thing that I'm finding is getting translated, even if the video itself isn't the difference. The one thing that always gets translated is that even my builders and my investors and the architects and the designers, not just the people selling their own personal home, but they're seeing this overarching message of, man, if we work with Brad, he will deliver unexpected. It's just going to be exceptional. It's going to be different. We're going to give him creative license, and we're going to get something unique. And so because of that, our business is really exploding. Even though maybe you can't pin it down on one video, it's this idea that each and every time I want to keep pushing ourselves, because like to your point, it is no longer that you can just be a sign in the yard, a few paragraphs on the internet, face on a bus bench or a billboard. Like now is the time, and we have the tools and the technology and the platforms to leverage our content. So if you can create great content, if you can't, just watch YouTube tutorials. That's what I did. Invest a little bit of money in some equipment and a little bit of time in hustling at it, and very quickly you'll start to see what I saw, which was, okay, there's something here. This looks okay, and then start building on that little bit of momentum, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a spot where you've got more business, more leads, more interest than you could ever hoped for. And you need to start leveraging other smart and talented people around you, which is where we're at now. I have a full-time videographer that works with me, and you know, that being said, he's been sick for the last couple of days, so I've been editing nonstop on a video myself. But I still 60-70% of my time is spent on the marketing. And I mean, as agents that sell for a living, marketing is what I do. Like I work with sellers more than buyers, so that's where I spend my time.
I think there's a misnomer in our industry. People think that we do it just for the sake of doing it. I've literally heard from agents throughout the market saying, you know, do they even really get business with the videos that they do? And I laugh because, you know, the people you hear that from typically just don't want to adapt, right? There's new ways of selling, and it ultimately comes down to attention. I think, again, this is why we synergize on so many different things. Is, you know, if you want to hire somebody that's just going to put a sign on a lawn and put it on MLS, that's phenomenal. You could probably get somebody to do that for really, really cheap for you, and you'll get whatever results that the market's typically going to get. But the market doesn't set the price, right?
That's
you
right.
tell some pretty incredible places, and if you can tell the story of that place to the right buyer, you know, the person that's going to buy a $1.4 million house is as likely to pay 1.4 as they are 1.3 if they see the value. But if all they see is numbers, or all you can show them is comps and data, well, they're going to wonder why it's only worth 1.4 when the neighbor sold for 1.2. Like, what's the differentiating factor? And I think going back to what you said, a touch point that I really want to push the audience to is that, if you want to be that guy that's just pumping out 600 deals a year and just convincing sellers to way under list their property so you don't have to do any work, that's great. But does the work inspire you? And, I can tell from your setup with the guitar, we've talked about this before, my basement gym, I got a guitar hanging up. Like, you want to be in an environment that constantly inspires you to grow. And I want to touch on the team aspect. So, you did the editing, you came up with the structure. Are you using certain software? Did you set up templates? Like, what did it take for you to kind of create the sauce where you can bring in a production guy to help throw jet fuel on that process for you?
For sure. So, I mean, I work with a lot of agents that are just getting started with their personal branding. And so in the beginning, they say, should I hire this out? And for me, I always find that it's like, there's value to having some understanding of some basic editing software, of the tools, how to use them. And a lot of that stuff, you can stay a mile wide and an inch deep on in the beginning. You don't have to be, it's like a scientific calculator. I can use one, but just the plus, the minus, the multiplication, and the division. I don't know any of the other buttons. But every couple of weeks or a month or so, when I was editing, I learned another button on that scientific calculator, because I'd learned, well, I want it to speed up and then slow down. Okay, I want to have this image, do this or that effect, or that be able to kind of overlay the volume, whatever it is.
How to do a speed ramp. I remember that, going to Google and being like, oh, I'm looking at like 40 videos, right?
And that's the thing. So like all those answers are there, but I started off with the idea of like, I'm going to do it myself, because I just didn't, how many agents out there are like, oh, I don't have time. How many deals are you doing in a year? Like I spent 60% of my year, editing, at least editing and shooting videos this year for marketing. And a bunch of it's for projects that are coming up in 2021. And we've already done 40 deals myself. So, it's October 15th. I've got, 12 or 15 listings. We've got stuff on the go. It's been a hard year. It's been a lot. There's been COVID. We sat for a month and a half too. So, I mean, I didn't sit. I worked through that whole time too, but I wasn't out showing homes, working with clients, that kind of thing. So the point is that it's almost always an excuse. There's, maybe you just don't want it. And if you really do want it, you would spend your time, rather than just rehearsing scripts and doing your hour of power and all that, so you'd spend your time actually working on the aspects of brand building. And if you can build yourself a bit of a personal brand, you'll start to get the leads. And as soon as you get the success from it, like as soon as you start getting your first or your second YouTube lead, or someone who's like, your sphere of influence expands because someone who's a friend of a friend sees you at a party and is like, hey, dude, I saw your video. That place ever sell? Oh, my sister's thinking of selling. All of a sudden, you're in a conversation only purely because of your brand and because of the work that you've been putting in. As soon as that, like, those are the canaries in the coal mine that are telling you you're on the right path, and now might be the time to start getting some help. I got some help last December. I had a cool moment where I got voted number 3 in North America for listing videos, and that filled me with dread, not just happiness. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have no time. I'm gonna lose my mind. My hair's gonna fall out. Like 2020 is gonna suck. And because I felt the pressure of like continuing to create and put out good content. So what I did was I went and found a local kid in my market that had a YouTube channel that had some talent, and just reached out to him. I said, hey, listen, is this something you'd be into doing? Like, I didn't hire a marketing company to do it. I didn't go and hire someone that was going to be able to be hired by other agents in my market. I hired a 19-year-old kid who came and lived with us during COVID, didn't produce any content for me for the first 3 months because he was sitting beside me while we edited videos, while I corrected sort of the shots. And now I've got someone who, like, I mean, it's like everyone that's younger than me, like, he's half my age. He's like twice as quick now, super smart, just as talented. And we've got this really cool growth going on now. And because of the content we're putting out there, both him and I get reached out to from other creators from Instagram, from YouTube in our market, who are like, hey, if you ever need another shooter, you ever need some help editing, whatever it is, you get in with this community that only lets you in based on merit. And then all of a sudden, these people are there to have your back if you need more shooting, if you want to grow the media side of your business. So it's a little bit different, right? Like a lot of guys think, oh, I want a listing video. I'm going to call the local marketing company to do it. And I would say, hey, if you're a producing agent and you're already selling 20 plus homes a year, just go do that. It's probably the best. But if you're starting, like there's just nothing to replace like the hustle and the sweat equity of putting in your time, dialing in a little bit of your look and your image and your message and your brand, and really starting from there.
Yeah, and I think you touched on so many things that I think people need to hear, right? I had a consultation call this morning with somebody that called me, and they're looking at a company to help manage their social ads. And I told them, I said, I understand why you want to do that, because you think paying somebody $1,800 a month plus an ad budget is going to generate 50 deals a year. But I said, you'd be better to go on Google, learn how to set up a Facebook ad, spend that $1,800 on the ad, learn how it operates, tweak it every week, and then get it to a place where you're happy with it. But then keep in mind, online leads aren't really the highest quality leads. Like, you're better off, if you really want to invest that money somewhere, in your brand and developing a skill set that translates industries. And whenever I talk and I do these podcasts and I do the consultation calls, I say, yeah, I happen to be in the business of real estate, but what I do is marketing and sales, which applies to coffee roasters, landscapers. It doesn't really matter what business you're in. Just develop a skill set around what you enjoy doing and hire out what you hate. So maybe you hate editing and you hate photography and videography, then get somebody else to do it for you, and put some effort behind creating the sauce, rather than letting them do it because they don't understand your business. But it's all a give and take, right? And I think people just get scared about content creation. And quite often when they start having those conversations with me, I say, don't even buy a DSLR. Get comfortable using your mobile phone for a year. Buy a $150 DJI Osmo 3 or 4 and just use that and actually learn to use the tool. And I guarantee you'll be ahead of people 90% in the marketplace that are just waiting. Oh, I need the right DSLR. I need the right microphone. I need to look as professional as this guy. You don't when you're starting, because if you don't have the skill set, you're going to flop anyways. You need to kind of go through the hard days to get to the place that you're at now, right?
Well, it's, I think that idea of the easy button, right? For a lot of agents, they think the easy button is, you bring in a social media company to handle all of that for you. But it's like, imagine, to me, that would be as akin to saying, like, you know what, I'm going to sub in my teammate to go meet with one of my closest clients. Like, I can't get to the meeting. I'm going to let them go and be my proxy and talk to them about this price reduction, or talk to them about, what we're going to do to help sell their project. I couldn't do that. It's social media and it's my personal brand. It's not something that I can outsource as much as I want to. I tried it for a month last year. And if you look back in my Instagram profile last November, you'll see a bunch of pictures like me with my phone on looking up at, like, it's horrible. And then the voice, the verbiage below it is like, it's not. And I actually felt anxiety every time there was a post that would come out, which was 5 days a week, because I'm just like, I don't know what they said. I don't know if it would have been the way I would have said it. And what's been great about that is, like, it takes time. Everything takes time. But we're in a business where you can make 7 figures if you're a star, and you can make $500,000 and no one even know about you. In this business, it's ridiculous income, and it should be hard. It should be hard to build your brand. It should be hard to do something exceptional. Why wouldn't it be hard? Why would it be easy, right? And when you think of the dropout rate in this industry, and you think of the agents that, you don't need to do video to be successful. By all means, you can still do direct mail and be successful. You can do bus benches and you can do that. It's just, how do you want to leverage your time? Like, I can go cold call and door knock. That'd be great. I can talk to people all the time that way. But you can also create a YouTube channel with content that's evergreen, with tours that are watched continually, to the point that, say, 2 years down the road, that YouTube channel is being watched 40 hours out of every 24-hour day. That's my average watch time now. So when you think about that, when I'm with my family, when I'm sick, when I'm sleeping, when I'm with other clients, when I'm on vacation, I'm cold calling and door knocking my market. But better than that, they're actually cold calling and door knocking me, because we all understand there's a huge difference in this industry between making the call or receiving the call. If you're attracting the business, it's worth 100 outgoing calls. So if someone calls you, it's worth 100 outgoing calls for sure. And so in my market, it's hard, but I believe so strongly in attraction marketing that I would much rather spend my time not cold calling and door knocking and pushing that way, spend my time creating content that draws the people to me. At very least, if I'm going to put out the effort to cold call and door knock or do that kind of lead generation on myself, it's going to be on the back of the content that I've already created that shows me in my best site, that shows the energy, that shows the passion, that shows the professionalism. That's going to be part of that outsourcing. I'm still going to do it in the same way, or it's not going to be just a personal phone call because I don't care who you are. Someone calls you up and is like, hey, you want to grab like a like a 20-minute lunch next week? Can we grab a coffee, 20 minutes of your time, talk about this or that, or I'm a mortgage broker, or you're like, unfortunately, I don't. Like, we're so busy. Who has time for that? And the reality is the builders, developers, everyone does too.
I was going to say on that point, because we both get those calls all the time, right? And we're like, hey, you know what you want, just tell me what you want. We can talk about how we may work together. But if, I came into your market and we didn't do this podcast and I DM'd you and I said, hey, Brad, do you want to go fly fishing? You want to go grab coffee or whatever? It's a different conversation because we already have some context to each other. We swim in some of the same circles. I think that's where people need to understand content production and content marketing is about attracting the people you want to do business with. And it's okay that not every person on the planet wants to do business with you, and you don't want to do business with every person on the planet. It's a balance of the two. Now, going back to the YouTube section, because I do want to pick your brain on this.
Let's do it.
How did you see that growth? Like, when did you start your channel? What type of content do you find gets you that watch time? How do you engage and help that community grow?
Okay, so I mean, with YouTube, it's definitely a long-term play. It's something that you could be consistently uploading once a week, once every 2 weeks, like 3 or 4 videos a month, and take 6 or 7 months to start to feel like you're getting some growth. Here's the thing, though. We all know this. Like, time goes like that. 6 or 7 months will be gone. You'll have either laid those seeds 6 months ago or not, or you're starting 6 months away. So my thought is just get started on it. It doesn't have to be top quality content. It doesn't have to be the very best or revolutionary, right? And you see this from even your favorite creators on YouTube. Not every video, you're like, oh, that was like a 7 out of 10. That's a Peter McKinnon, right? So my thought was this. I built my channel probably the wrong way. I built it purely on listing videos. So I built it purely on the idea of like, I'm going to make cool, sexy listing videos. And the idea will be that people will sign up or subscribe to get inside more cool homes around my city. But very quickly, I realized that, like an average house in an average community is not quite as interesting as being in the most expensive house or one of the most expensive homes in the city. So once I could prove that I had the chops to put together some cool content, I then immediately reached out to one of the agents in town that had a really high-end listing, a $6.5 million property, and I said, "Hey, I would like to go through your property. I will. You can walk with me." He didn't want to be on camera, any of that stuff, but I did a $6.5 million home tour. I called it. I ripped off the Sirhan here, and I went with $1 million tours instead of $1 million listing. And I've now got 3 episodes in that series. They're far and away my best performing series. People are just curious how ultra wealthy people live. And surprisingly enough, all of our other videos are, we always average between 2,000 and 5,000 views easily in the first month or two on a YouTube listing video, plus Instagram, plus LinkedIn, plus Facebook, because we leverage it everywhere. But that YouTube strategy, if you're just getting started and you don't have a whole bunch of listings and you don't want to go bring in a camera crew and you don't have the equipment, just get on there and start talking about what the news is. Like what's new right now? Like, is there share a little bit of your lifestyle, some of the, the newest restaurant that everyone's talking about, the new, like a community that you really want to feature. But actually, the most valuable thing you can do on YouTube is create content around search terms. So if someone is moving to Toronto, moving to Calgary, moving to Montreal, what are they putting into a search term, right? Like cost of living in Montreal. Okay, well, that's a video right there. What's the cost of living in Montreal? Montreal versus Toronto, Toronto versus Calgary, East Canada versus Western Canada, whatever that is that people are putting in. They're curious about moving there. They're curious about living there. They're curious about schools there. They're curious about cost of living. They're curious about the job opportunities, like the way to immigrate, all those different things. They're curious about that. And if you choose those styles of videos to begin with, you'll get leads. There'll be long tail leads because of people that aren't like ready to act right now, but you will get leads from that. My channel is more of a luxury videography style channel where we're starting to feather in more of that other kind of content in there. We get plenty of leads and listings and stuff from our channel, but ultimately, if you're just getting started, you got to be consistent. You got to up that quality a little bit with every video, and you got to create content that people want to watch, not that you want to talk about. So here's something you want to talk about. I want to talk to my mortgage broker about, interest rates being all-time low. Okay, great. Great. No one wants to watch that for 10 minutes. That's perfect for your IG stories. That's perfect as a highlight, as part of it. But if you're not actually telling a storyline through that interest rate, video, you're probably losing out on some of the value of the story. So I think YouTube is one of the most underused resources, even though it's starting to come up now. It's just Facebook, you put a cool video out there and it's gone in a day or two. Instagram, people slide by. They could be standing in line, so they miss something they just spent hours and hours working on. YouTube gives it a long time, and YouTube is working continually. The algorithm is working continually to reward the best content and to find the right audience for it. So it can take a month, sometimes 2 months, for a video to really bump off. But once it finds its audience, it'll stay there and grow for a long time.
Yeah, I was talking to a good buddy of mine around content and algorithms, and I said, why you had these massive companies that were a part of your organization that would dump millions into building an algorithm to get you in front of the right people for free, would you use them? Yeah, well, let them do what they do, right? I think people, they get confused. They try to growth hack and they start doing tags for things that are unrelated to the video, but the algorithms are so smart these days that they know if you clickbaited somebody to get to your channel and then the content doesn't map with what they're looking for and they drop off, it's going to hurt you. To touch on production quality. So what do you look for? So say you're looking at somebody's channel and you're saying up that production quality. What are the basic things that you look for that inspire you or make you think something was produced well?
Okay, so I mean, a couple of things you can kind of almost reverse engineer. What is generally a sign of a video you don't want to watch? It's got like elevator music or really corporate music. It doesn't feel like it has an edge, and there's nothing risky, right? So if you're going to actually do a market update, your market update should have your opinion in it, because an opinion can be wrong. And 3 months from now, someone can look back and be like, hey, dude, you were wrong. Well, guess what? The CMHC was wrong this year, right? Like, so give me a break. The best part is, though, about having an opinion is that people will form for or against you. So and then tell stories, right? Don't use marketing speak. Like, realtors love words like inventory and sales to new listings ratios and all these kind of things. How does that actually affect the buyer? What does 1.5% financing mean versus 3% financing, right? So like, oh, okay, well, properties went up, say 10% this last year, but because of the borrowing costs, it's actually leveled off. So the same house a year ago is going to cost you the same amount per month to today. That's something that people can understand. That's something that's very basic. It speaks to them in the language they're used to talking about, right? So really kind of telling the story behind the data versus just the data. That's one way to up your production value. Another way is we've got all these cameras are 4K, whether it's your iPhone or not. Point towards the window, buy a good $30 plug-in lav mic, or upgrade to a Rode Wireless Go or something like that, something that will give you good quality audio, because of the two things, people can listen to good audio and will bear through bad video, but they will not bear through perfect video, 4K quality with choppy audio. They just won't. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. And then the last thing is like you talked about it already. You don't need a fancy mirrorless camera and a gimbal and a $15,000 setup. You've got a 4K camera. These got like the new iPhone 12 Pro, Max Pro, and with its different lenses and stuff, you can shoot listing videos on that, and you could absolutely start a media company and make 7 figures doing just with your iPhone. 100% you can do it. But grab $140 DJI Osmo for the smooth video, put your camera on it, and start creating that stuff. So I say good video, tell good stories, good music, something that's energetic, feels different. Anything that you can do that's extra, in my opinion, is going to get you noticed.
Awesome. So I ask you a few more questions, then I'll get you out of here because I'm sure you probably have some editing.
Hey, no worries, man.
So who's doing stuff online right now other than Peter McKinnon that inspires you? Is there anybody that's on that constant playlist, maybe while you're editing, doing other stuff that you take inspiration from?
So, I mean, I think everyone in the real estate industry is not watching Ryan Serhant and his blog and his new media group that he's sort of launched with Serhant, you really kind of, that's the tale right there. Like, he's saying, hey, look, to create more content, I'll have 3 in a million. I'll have people come in and guess the cost of the house. I'll have people come in and do this borough brokers. Like, he's creating 3 or 4 different series to just play on one of his YouTube channels. That is a sign that this is working. And if you look at who some of the top YouTubers are and where they were even just a year or two ago, guys like Mr. Beast, even just 3-4 years ago, this is just in their home office talking about like, oh, thank you for 1,000 subscribers. You know, now he's got like 35 or 40 million. You don't need to be like Ryan. You don't need to go to that extent. But that's showing you what the future of real estate is. It's these personal brands and these media companies, like just like Gary Vee told us all, that we should all be our own little media companies. That's the sign of where things are going if you really want to capitalize on the actual platforms that we have, like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. All that stuff is so key to capitalize. So I watch Serhant. For some of the other videographers, I go and watch, like, I personally watch guys like Make Art Now. It's an amazing channel. Guy's super creative, tells a great story. He's someone to watch. I mean, he released one this spring called Anamorphia, one of the best videos I've ever seen. But all this stuff is signs. Like there's so many people that are just saying, hey, see this cool video? This is exactly step by step how I made it. So I watch those video tutorials all the time.
Yeah. Do you ever break it down and like go through their shot sequence and be like, oh, this is what they did? Like Neistat with his new daily vlogs again. They're back. Saw somebody posted on one of his feeds, oh, Casey Neistat single-handedly saving 2020 with his dailies again.
Exactly.
You literally go through, you say, okay, this is his opening sequence. This is how he frames it. This is how he shoots this.
Yeah.
You get into that much.
I do. I look at it and I think of everything in terms of, so, you were talking about the algorithm before. The reality is that the best videos optimize for humans, not computers, right? Like, and so what you know about humans right now is that almost any video, you've got 5 seconds to catch their interest, right? And so if you got 5 or 6 seconds to catch their interest, you need a hook. You need something to be exciting in that first 5 or 6 seconds, and then you need a pattern interrupt so people aren't just like dipping out of the conversation. So you have that first 5 to 7 second hook. You do a pattern interrupt. You don't waste time with your, hey, this is Brad Mccallum's logo and Remax and a white background and 7 seconds of that, because people are gone before you even get to the good stuff. And all you're ever doing in a video in the first minute of it is buying the next 10 to 15 seconds. Something cool happened, great. You might get 5 to 10 more seconds of 80% of the remaining audience, right? And then another 10 or 12 seconds happen, better be good. Once you have someone in for a minute and they're invested, they can hang around for 8, they can hang around for 25, to be quite honest. But that first minute dictates absolutely everything. So it has to have energy. It has to be good. And that's the thing to watch when you watch. Like, don't just watch Serhant because it's cool or it's entertaining. Don't just watch, McKinnon and these guys. Watch the story breakdown of why it works, what works. And you'll often find agents make this mistake, especially when they're like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel and it's going to be like reviews and listing tours and all this stuff about, like interest rates, talks with and it'll be a 15-second intro. And it's like, I've watched Netflix series and there's one 10-minute section in the 6th episode that bored me and I dipped on the whole series because of it. I'm like, well, that's it. I don't even care where the story goes. They spent 20 million on that. So think about what you're doing when you're actually releasing your content is that first off, no one cares about anything we produce. So you have to tell them why they should care, why their time is valuable. And then you got to keep telling them it's worth sticking around. It's worth sticking around. And you watch, dude, like people, the guys who do this the best, they are continually telling people at every little point of the way, okay, coming up, you're not going to believe the elevator, the views from the top of the elevator. Okay, but before that, I'm going to take you down to the home theater room. Like they're constantly taking you on this ride to buy a little bit more of your attention, right? And that's the whole goal, right? Time on platform is the goal. Your YouTube channel will grow if users come to it, watch 40 to 50% of your video, and then go and watch another video on the topic or another one of your videos once it's done. Your YouTube channel will go nowhere if someone goes there because you shared a link on Facebook and someone was in the Facebook mindset, and now they click over to YouTube, watch 3 seconds of your video, and they dip back to Facebook because they weren't meant to be on YouTube. YouTube sees that and is like, that's a bad experience. I'm not showing Brad Mccallum's videos to someone again because that was a bad experience for the user. And our goal is length of time on platform so we can show more ads. So that's how we optimize for the human, but get the algorithm to reward us.
Yeah, it's being thoughtful about it too, right? So on the hook topic, how do you think about a hook? So when you're going in to shoot a video or you're prepping something, how do you find or how do you structure your hooks? Like, what does that mean to somebody maybe watching this video right now?
For sure, right? So, I mean, there's always like the very simple stuff. Like, I've been in a lot of homes this year. Like, I've been in a lot of luxury homes, but I've never seen anything quite like this, right? Like, that's one. And people are like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. We've watched other videos of Brad. Like, let's see what he's got to show, right? Or if they've got something strange or different or unique about their home, like it backs onto the river, or it's an incredible view of downtown, or whatever that thing is, that's the hook, right? Tell them what's in it for them if they stick around and watch, right? So then that's for listing videos. If it's for a market update or something else, make a bold statement. If you're not purchasing a home in 2020 in this market right now, you may lose your chance forever. Something like that. If you're in a position to buy right now and you don't, well, guess what? You're going to be a renter for life.
I'm sure you can get some YouTube comments off that.
Like, you'll get some haters.
Polarize people, right? But
absolutely. But you know what the reality is that people are assembling on your side or against you all the time. Every time you post, they're like, man, I just don't like his face, his beard, his eyes. I don't like the way he talks, whatever it is. And just as many of those people that think that about you, great. You didn't have to spend your evenings, your weekends driving around in a car with them just to find out that they didn't want to do business with you anyways. The other side of the people, though, by the time they meet you, are like, holy, I did not think you were going to be the guy who came to the meeting. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm coming to the meeting. Of course I'm coming to the listing presentation, right? Because you can actually build that kind of local fanfare for yourself if you're doing it right.
Yeah, no, I believe it. So wrap-up question for you. And this one's always a tough one, but how has failure shaped your life?
Yeah, failure is how I got into real estate. I'd had a tumor on my face. I was really worried about my family. I was running a renovation design business. I had a passion for it. I enjoyed it. I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at managing 20, 25 people in trades. It was a real turning point for me. And it was coming up on my 20th school reunion. And I didn't even have my GED yet. I never graduated. So all these kids were like, hey, you coming to the reunion? And I'm like, nah. So I went and got my GED, got my license, and I was like, I'll see you guys at the 40 year. That's when I'll be there for my 20-year reunion. And I realized that because I got to that point, it started something kind of brand new for me. Even this year, coming into COVID, my reaction to COVID was, I'm not where I want to be yet. Like, I've gotten some heat and some growth from what we've been doing in our business. But what if this all goes away? What if we don't sell anything for 3 or 4 months? So every day of my life, I just sit there and ask myself, how can I answer the question that my clients have, which is, what the heck's in it for them if they work with me? Mm-hmm. And the better I get at answering that question, the more business I do. This year, I've realized that I've had listings fall through my fingers. I've had stuff that didn't sell. I had conversations I didn't have because I was so busy that, it's a reality in this business that it's like business is like a river. You dip your hands and you try to pull some out and stuff falls through your fingers. It just happens. You don't get it all. But um, if you have a desire to take care of your family in a big way, to do work that kind of fulfills you, um, and if you want to do something different, you have an opportunity with something like video marketing, with this new world and what technology is presented to us, to have all your successes far outweigh the failures. Failures is part of life. You learn from them. You learn from it. And I'm thankful for everyone that I've had.
I agree. That's why I asked the question. The failures typically shape the success, and your reaction to the challenges typically dictate how you're going to move forward. And sometimes it closes a door for you that you shouldn't be walking through anyways, right? So appreciate your time, Brad. I'm glad we did this. Actually, Sirhan and his crew, I do a lot of work with them. Sirhan's a buddy of mine, so I'll mention your channel to them and see if you guys can collaborate in some way. Over and beyond that, how can I add value to you? How can I drive my audience to your platforms?
Yeah, well, you know what? To be quite honest, you guys, if you guys are curious on what I do on the video side of things, just go to YouTube and check out Brad Mccallum, Calgary Realtor. Or you can go on to Instagram and check out Brad Mccallum Remax. You'll find me in both those places. And honestly, Justin, I really, really appreciate being on the show here today. I've been following your stuff for a long time. I think you've got one of the cleanest presentations. I love your IG stories. I think they're great. In fact, your IG stories is what helped me realize that I need to be in front of my audience more, just talking to them and kind of shedding that idea of every video being a polished, edited version. And I find that I'm getting a lot of business because of it. So I appreciate that. Man, I really like what you're doing out there. It's a great example for us out here, Wes.
Dude, I never do that. I really appreciate it because I don't know, right? I'm sure sometimes I mess up. I flub my lines. That's what the stories are for. And it's a good way for people that don't do this stuff to get used to that and realizing we're all people, we're all broken, we all have different aspects to our personalities, but we're all on this planet together, right? So we got to collaborate. And I'm really glad you made the time, brother. So thanks again. And everybody go to his YouTube channel, watch the whole videos. Don't just click off, subscribe, and then comment and help his algorithm. All right. See you, brother.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Justin.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care. We'll see you.